everybody. It's Dayna Martin, community producer for Anarchapulco, and I'm here today with Dr. Buckley. Dr. Buckley is a holistic practitioner specializing in holistic and energetic medicine, and Dr. Buckley is with us for the second time, but a few of you may not have met him last year. In fact, a lot of you may not have met him last year, and we have so many new people coming this year that I really want everyone to get to know who he is. He's much more involved this year than he has been in the past. So welcome, Dr. Buckley. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So why don't you tell everybody who you are and how you became a doctor and doing what you're doing?
Okay, so I got into the field of natural medicine because I had my own health complaints that were being unaddressed by conventional medicine. And specifically, I was dealing with widespread aches and pains in my body and chronic fatigue that kind of came on in my late teens. And ultimately, I ended up recognizing that chiropractic and massage offered me some benefit. And so I ended up enrolling in chiropractic school largely to figure out what was wrong with me. And as I got into chiropractic, I didn't know that there were many different techniques within chiropractic. I thought it was all just like one thing. And I got exposed to muscle testing as a form of assessment very early on, and I had really positive experiences with that. And that's what I got into, and what helped me to understand what was going on really within my body, and to really come to do all the things that I do now. So
cool.
That's where I'm at now.
Great. So what are you offering at Anarchapulco this year? Like, what can people expect from you?
So I'm going to do sessions with people. Hour-long sessions is typically what I do in my office, where people have complaints. I work with a lot of people who have Lyme disease, autoimmune conditions, chronic structural problems, digestive problems, and the work that I do utilizes non-invasive diagnostics. So I can quite rapidly identify indications of all kinds of infections. Most people that have those kinds of problems that I just described have a number of infections. They have toxins which support the infections, and they need to detox this stuff out. And so I can help put together a protocol for helping somebody get on track that way. And then there are things that I can do just to kind of help bring balance structurally into the body too, in a non-invasive and low-impact way. So the work is really, it's an integration of meridian therapy, naturopathy, chiropractic, and it's something to really experience. I mean, there's nothing that I've seen that's really out there that kind of compares, because it brings it all together and recognizes that the body is a biological computer that our consciousness interfaces upon, and that imbalances that occur within the body prefer to be unraveled in an orderly fashion. So, for example, you might have something going on in your low back and it's a chronic issue. The system will tend to guide me through the causal link that could be driving that particular issue. So you might have a parasite that's affected the colon. The colon is related to the muscles which stabilize your pelvis, and that the system will guide me through that to help to bring that to the awareness of you and myself, and put together a protocol to clear that stuff up. So that's what I do is really, it's more something to experience, and it's a little bit difficult to describe because there's just a lot to it.
Yeah, I can imagine. Are you doing any workshops or like a talk in the Health and Wellness Center before, so people can kind of get to know more about it before they sign up for something with you?
Well, I hadn't planned on doing that. I'm going to do a talk on the gut-brain connection and the influence of hidden toxins in our food supply that are driving a lot of the dysfunction that we're dealing with from a health standpoint, and how that perpetuates chronic illness and things like non-situational depression, non-situational anxiety, and all forms of neurodegeneration.
Well, I think that'll be a great way for people to get to know you. I mean, that's pretty much what I was hoping that you would do, just present something so people can get to know who you are, get to know your energy, because I was saying before we started.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely be happy to do some demonstrations and
Cool.
try and just kind of like show people some of what's what's available and what's possible, and because it's a difficult thing to describe. I'm sure Kat has probably talked to you a little bit about what I do, and I'd be curious to hear how she actually describes it. It's always kind of funny to me how people describe what it is that I do, and it usually just boils down to, well, I don't know exactly what he does, but you just need to go see him.
Yeah, I mean, like she's talked about you like almost every single time. So Kat and I are friends. We go back years, and all she could say is how awesome you were. She never told me what you really did. It's just that you changed her life and you healed her completely. And when she talks about Anarchapulco from last year, I think you were like a really key force in her making everything that she experienced at the event come together, because for whatever you do, it's magic. A lot of it sounds like energy work to some people might sound really out there. So when you're like a doctor of energy work, do people think that's really strange, or how are you accepted?
Well, my practice it's primarily referral based. So, people that are coming to see me, they tend to have been prepped somewhat that this guy, he does some different stuff. And it's generally like, well, I don't know exactly how to explain it, but this worked for me and it's worked for other people that I know. So go and see him. So that's kind of how it works. But the reality is that everything's energy. There's nothing that isn't energy. And everything that exists has a field that emanates from it. For example, if you have a parasite, there's that parasite is stressing your system out. Now you can take that parasite in a homeopathic form, and if you identify where it's at within the body and you put that homeopathic form on the body over the area where it exists, it'll cause a momentary inhibition on a muscle. So that can clue you into that's an issue there. And for me at this point, it's just like second nature. I do it all day long. I don't have any doubt that it works because I see it work all the time, And when you identify that weakness, you can find a neutralizing remedy to bring the body back into strength. Like, there's a lot of different anti-parasitic remedies that are out there, for example, and you could try to intellectualize well, which one is really going to work, and it can be a little bit confusing, but the body will tell you what it needs. So if you find the proper remedy, it will bring that muscle right back into strength from a point of weakness. And so it helps to lock down what you would do for somebody in almost any situation. It's chronic in nature, A lot of people they get caught up in blood tests and stool tests and urine tests, but the reality is that so much of what's happening in our body isn't in the blood. It's in the cells, and it doesn't really show up. So it really requires, in my opinion, to help a lot of these chronic illness cases out, it really requires some alternative means to get a proper assessment of what's happening. And, there's different bioenergetic tools that are out there that, can be useful in assessing what's happening in the body. What I found is the tool that I use, and it works really well. But, there's people that do muscle testing out there and they give it a bad name because they're not, I don't think they're quite as versed on what they should be. But, you know, there's doctors that use stethoscopes that aren't necessarily good doctors either, you know. I mean, but nobody automatically assumes that all doctors are bad to use stethoscopes. It's a science and an art.
Yeah. Well, oh my goodness, what you just said. You said that not everything is detectable in the blood.
Yeah.
That's true, isn't it? Modern medicine, that's what the focus is, and drawing blood and looking at vitals. But you're so right. It's the cells that can contain so much. And so I love that that's what you do, is you focus on energy. It sounds like you must be really intuitive too. I mean, a lot of people that do the type of work you do, it's a lot of intuition. It's a gift. It's being able to feel if something's wrong in somebody's body. And is that part of it?
Yeah, I mean, intellectually, like, I can know a lot just by like looking at someone, you know. I mean, there's a certain level of understanding that you have just through years of experience. I mean, I've been in practice for, you know, like 17 years now, and so there's things that you can like intellectually know, and then you'll have like a gut instinct that's like, well, you know, good chance it's this, but the bioenergetic assessment helps to remove the doubt,
right?
In my experience. And I think a lot of people are just misled by the testing that's out there. And frankly, I think, you know, I don't think a lot of your audience is going to be surprised to hear somebody say this, but in my opinion, I think that the diagnostics that we have been limited to prevent the sort of answers that need to come to the population so that the medical model can persist as it is. And I'm 100% certain in my heart, although I can't prove it, that the level of parasitic diagnostics that exists within medicine right now is as abysmal as what it is, because they cause so many problems, and they're difficult to detect, and the parasites generally don't kill you right away. I mean, they can just persist in your body for a long, long time, and then just like suck the life out of you, and then you pick up all these other things that are going on. So
Gross.
You know.
I'm like, I want to come see you first, because now I'm like totally grossed out. But I know parasites they're a really common thing. People have them and don't know for years, even their whole lives, right? I mean, super.
My situation, I was riddled with pathogens. I mean, I came to understand that I was dealing with Lyme disease. So I had a lot of different parasites and viruses, bacteria, and, you know, my immune system was kind of shut down. But, you know, when I was young, I fished a lot, you know, and so you can handle a lot of fish with your hands, and you don't really think about it. I mean, who thinks about parasites in the United States, right? Particularly, you know, in the 80s and early 90s, you know, just not thinking about that kind of thing. But, you know, I'm quite certain that the things that I have living in me were probably in me persisting for a number of years, which led to my issues.
And when you got rid of them, could you feel like a huge difference right away?
Yeah, and that's part of what's motivating me to do the talk that I'm going to do, because, you know, the thing that I experienced myself was like, well, after I started clearing out my gut and getting these infections down, you know, I had a level of clarity in my thought that was, you know, just not there since, you know, I remember being a kid, you know. And so I had better clarity of thought. I had better energy, less pain, better sleep. And, you know, I focus on all this stuff with the patients that come in to see me, you know, and I see it over and over again. Like, I see, you know, well, it looks like you got this infection, you got that, and let's work on cleaning that stuff up, detox it out. And people always report the same stuff. You know, I got better energy, you know, everything just improves. And so I began to wonder, I was like, well, there's got to be an explanation metabolically of what's going on here. And so I ended up finding out that, well, yeah, there is, and it's this like central mechanism biochemically and immunologically that's happening within us that is really like they're trying to figure out, well, what's the solution for Alzheimer's, ALS, Parkinson's, MS, all these neurodegenerative conditions. There's like this central biochemical immunological mechanism in place, and it all gets back to this inflammatory response. And they recognize if they get this inflammatory response under control, then they can go a long way towards at least halting the progression of the disease or disorder that someone's dealing with. So I think this is like crucial information that people need to be aware of, because they're just kind of like, they're not realizing like brain fog is a big deal, and people go every day with brain fog and they don't realize that that's actually an inflammatory issue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and modern medicine doesn't want anyone to get better. I mean, so what you're offering is like this wonderful key to really helping people as opposed to keeping people sick, which is what our modern medicine does in our culture. So
yep.
I'm thinking you're going to be really busy at the event, especially when this interview comes out and people hear what you offer, because people are sick. They're sick.
Everybody's sick. Everybody's sick, and the thing that I'm going to talk about is it's the cornerstone of much of the sickness.
Awesome.
So,
it's
not going to be a surprise to a lot of people. I'm sure most of the audience is aware that this particular thing is an issue, but I don't think they understand the significance of it and how it really is probably affecting them.
Yeah, so they might be aware of like that the medical establishment's like corrupt, but they don't know that they're like personally affected to the depth that they probably are. So
yeah.
So you're going to be offering the talks and the health and wellness, or the talk, and then sharing a little bit more. And so then you're going to be offering your services in addition, which is so exciting. And then you're doing it for like a couple hours a day, every day of the event. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, again, it's going to be basically what I do with the initial patient visit in my office. And so people come in with all kinds of different complaints, and there's generally like core issues that need to be addressed. And so again, I got into doing so much of what I do because I ended up recognizing, I'm a chiropractor, right? So I got my doctorate of chiropractic, and I was consistently recognizing like, wow, like everybody that has back pain, seemingly, it's not everyone, but a lot of these people that have like chronic back pain, it's what's happening in the gut, and this destabilizing effect that's occurring within the gut, which is setting things up for, chronic back pain and pelvic instability and all that. And so, when people come on in, it's generally like, all right, well, let's identify, these are your key bugs, these are the key toxins that are supporting the bugs, and put together a little game plan, a protocol to kind of get that into balance. And then also work on things like from a structural standpoint, sometimes even do like emotional trauma releasing. And everything is just about removing interference from the body's innate healing wisdom.
Physically, in every way. It sounds like that's why you're a holistic doctor,
right?
Which is so rare. So I'm so grateful you're going to be there this year, Dr. Buckley. Thank you. And you were a part of it last year, but in a smaller way, kind of more in a personal way. You saw a couple people. But this year, we're really working together, and we really want people to know about you because you changed the lives of the people that you worked with last year. And we heard so many amazing things that we said we have to bring this amazing man, know he's here. So
well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we are too. And so tell me, what are you most looking forward to this year at Anarchapulco?
Well, honestly, it's just the community, just getting down there. And I mean, I really, my sense was that this is a real movement that's happening. And, it's bringing in people from, different walks of life, but just kind of like we recognize that the system is broken, and we want to create something new. And so I just want to get down there and make some good connections. I made some good connections last year, and I look forward to doing the same again.
So great. Yeah. I mean, we're all about unchaining your life this year. That's kind of that's our theme.
Right.
So what you're doing and what you're offering is unchaining people from the medical establishment, unchaining their health to move toward more wellness. And so what you're offering is like completely priceless, and we're so excited to have you. So if people want to learn more about you before the event, where can they find you online?
You can go to my website, kinseimindbody.com. That's KINSEI mindbody.com. Kinsei, if you're wondering, means balance in Japanese. It's kind of a play on the term kinesiology, which is, the primary tool I use in my office. And so you can go there. I got a lot of information. If you go through the blog section, I got some pretty good articles in there. I think most people kind of find interesting.
Awesome. Great, Dr. Buckley. Well, thank you so much for being on for this wonderful discussion. It was so exciting. I can't wait to hear more.
Yeah.
And so we'll see you and everybody else in just a couple weeks. So everyone, thanks for tuning in tonight.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Peace, love, anarchy.
Ideas about not wanting to use violence against people and not wanting to steal and extort them.
And they try to tell us that the liberty movement is dead. That's a bunch of baloney. It's alive and well.
All freedom is our natural and eternal right.
And shout this message about what real liberty and freedom mean, but for everybody.
We should start a revolution here today.
Peace, love, and anarchy.